In a happy family, love is not always expressed through expensive gifts. Sometimes it begins with a caring look, an innocent thought, or a small wish to make someone we love feel less tired. That morning, the yard of the little countryside home was filled with the laughter of Cutis and Buem was sitting on their familiar swing. Nearby, Cutis carefully tied one end of a rope to the swing and connected the other end to his small vehicle. Cutis checked the knot closely. Then he climbed onto the vehicle and began moving slowly. The rope tightened, gently pulling the swing. Buem sat there, his eyes wide in excitement. When Cutis moved slightly faster, the swing began moving higher. Buem laughed happily and held onto the sides. He kept looking toward Cutis, as though praising his brother's wonderful idea. Seeing Buem so excited made Cutis even happier. He controlled the vehicle carefully and made sure the swing did not move too strongly. To Cutis, the greatest joy was not playing by himself. It was seeing his younger brother laugh because of a game he had created. While the brothers were playing, Dad returned from the field. He carried a large bundle of grass in his arms. Dad had been working since early morning, cutting grass and bringing it home for the family's animals. As soon as Cutis and Buem saw him, they stopped their game. Both brothers happily ran to welcome him. Cutis hurried toward Dad and wanted to help carry the grass. Buem followed closely, his face bright with happiness because Dad had returned. Dad looked at the children and smiled. Although he had worked for a long time and was already tired, the children's warm welcome made his exhaustion feel lighter. Dad placed the grass down, gently touched Cutis's head, and asked what the brothers had been playing. Cutis excitedly pointed toward the vehicle and the swing. He wanted to explain his new idea. At that moment, Dad's phone rang. Dad answered it. After speaking for a short time, his expression became serious. It seemed that more work was waiting for him. Dad could not remain and play with the brothers. He asked Cutis and Buem to behave at home, then quickly returned to his work. Cutis stood and watched him leave. The happiness on his face slowly disappeared. He had hoped Dad would sit down and rest, or perhaps play with the children after returning from the field. Instead, Dad had barely brought the grass home before needing to leave again. Cutis began to feel sorry for him. He climbed onto the gate and sat at a higher position, looking toward the road Dad had followed. Dad was always busy. When he was not working in the field, he cared for the animals, repaired household things, or handled other responsibilities for the family. Cutis looked at the house, the garden, and the clean yard. He understood that the family's peaceful life existed because Dad and Mother worked very hard. Cutis wanted to help Dad, but he was still small and could not perform the heavy work in the fields. He placed a hand on his forehead and began thinking. Below him, Buem looked upward. He realized Cutis was no longer as cheerful as before. After a moment, Cutis' eyes suddenly brightened. It seemed he had thought of something. He quickly climbed down and ran toward the porch. Buem became curious and followed him. The brothers sat together. Cutis explained that Dad was working too hard and that he wanted to prepare something that would make him happy when he came home. Buem thought carefully and offered a simple suggestion. They could buy the foods Dad loved. When Dad finished working and returned, a delicious meal would be waiting for him. The idea immediately excited Cutis. This was something he could do. He did not need to perform heavy work. He only needed to remember Dad's favorite foods, choose them carefully at the market, and prepare a meal with all his love. Cutis looked at Buem and smiled. Their secret plan to care for Dad had officially begun. As soon as Cutis accepted Buem's idea, he hurried inside the house. He opened the cabinet and began searching for his small money bag. Cutis checked each section carefully. The money inside was what he had saved over time. It was not a large amount, but he believed it would be enough to buy several foods Dad enjoyed. When Cutis found the bag, he opened it and checked the money. He counted each bill and thought about what he needed to purchase. Dad loved fried spring rolls. He also often enjoyed steamed rice sheets. If there was enough money left, Cutis would buy fresh fruit for Dad to enjoy after a tiring day. Cutis placed the money safely inside his pocket. However, he could not take Buem with him because his younger brother was still small and the trip might take a long time. Cutis guided Buem downstairs. He turned on the television and selected a program Buem enjoyed. Cutis adjusted the volume and reminded him to remain inside the house, avoid the road, and never wander away. Buem looked at the screen and quickly became happy. Before Cutis left, however, he turned and asked whether his brother would return soon. Cutis gently touched Buem's head and promised that he would buy everything quickly and come home. He put on his hat, checked the money once more, went outside and carefully closed the door. Then Cutis pulled his vehicle onto the road. His heart was filled with hot excitement. This was not a market trip to buy something for himself. Everything Cutis purchased today would be for Dad. As he traveled, Cutis admired the scenery on both sides. The fields stretched into the distance. Trees moved gently in the wind, and small homes rested peacefully beside the road. Cutis thought about the moment Dad returned. He imagined Dad becoming surprised when he saw the meal. Perhaps Dad would ask who had prepared everything. Then Cutis and Buem would explain that it was their secret gift. The thought made Cutis move faster. At home, Buem watched television. The funny program made him laugh repeatedly. From time to time, he looked toward the door, but because Cutis had only recently left, Buem continued watching without worry. Cutis traveled along the familiar roads and gradually approached the market. From a distance, he could see many stalls and people moving around. Cutis took a deep breath, held his money carefully, and prepared to choose the best foods for. When Cutis reached the market, he stopped in front of a stall selling fried spring rolls. Their delicious aroma immediately reminded him of Dad. This was something Dad always enjoyed, so Cutis did not need much time to decide. He walked closer, examined the neatly prepared food, and chose a portion large enough for Dad and the two brothers to share. Cutis paid carefully and placed the food securely on the vehicle. He arranged it so it would not tilt or fall during the journey home. Then Cutis continued searching for steamed rice sheets. He remembered that Dad enjoyed this food too. Combined with the spring rolls, it would make the meal feel more complete. Cutis stopped at the right stall, purchased a portion, and checked the money he still had. There was enough remaining for fruit. Cutis felt happy because the plan was going well. He did not buy anything only for himself. Whenever he noticed something tempting, he reminded himself that today's journey was about caring for Dad. Meanwhile, Buem remained at home. He sat in front of the television and laughed at his favorite program. Whenever something funny happened, Buem clapped excitedly. Time passed, and the program eventually ended. Buem looked toward the door. Cutis had not returned. At first, he thought his brother was simply taking extra time to select the food. But after waiting longer, Buem began to miss him. At the market, Cutis had already purchased the main dishes. On his way home, he stopped in front of a fruit shop. Many different fruits were displayed neatly. Cutis climbed down and carefully inspected them. He searched for fruit that was fresh, properly ripe, and free from damage. Cutis thought about how long Dad had worked outside. Fresh fruit would help him feel refreshed after eating. He checked one piece and then another. Only when he was completely satisfied did Cutis decide what to buy. After paying, he placed the fruit securely on the vehicle, keeping it separate from the other food so it would not be crushed. Now everything was ready. There were the spring rolls Dad loved. There were the steamed rice sheets he often ate. And there was fresh fruit personally selected by Cutis. Cutis began traveling home. The vehicle was heavier, but he did not complain. Thinking about Dad and Buem waiting for him gave Cutis more strength. At home, Buem had finished watching television. He turned it off and ran upstairs. Because Cutis had been away for quite some time, Buem began to worry. He moved from one room to another and then looked outside through the window. Cutis still had not appeared. Buam sat beside the window and watched the gate. Every sound from the road made him think that Cutis might finally be returning. But he still needed to wait. After traveling for some time, Cutis finally reached home. He opened the gate, pulled the vehicle full of food into the yard, and carefully closed the gate again. Buam was sitting beside the window when he heard the familiar sound. He immediately stood up, his face filled with happiness. Cutis had returned. Buam tried to climb down so he could run to welcome him, but Cutis noticed and quickly came closer. He carefully lifted Buam down. Buam held onto Cutis, almost as though he wanted to complain that his brother had been away too long. But when he saw the food on the vehicle, his worry quickly changed into curiosity and excitement. Cutis quietly explained that everything was part of their surprise for Dad. The brothers entered the house. Cutis pulled out a mat and spread it neatly. Buam helped hold one corner. Although he was small, he wanted to participate in caring for Dad. Cutis began bringing in the food. The spring rolls were placed in the center. The steamed rice sheets were arranged beside them. The fruit was kept separately, so it would remain fresh and beautiful. Cutis prepared everything himself. He adjusted each item, hoping the meal would look generous when Dad returned. Buam sat nearby, staring at the delicious food. He felt hungry but listened to Cutis and did not eat anything. This was a gift for Dad. The brothers needed to wait until he came home so they could enjoy it together. When everything was arranged, Cutis checked the meal. He worried that dust or insects might touch the food while they waited, so he found a large basket and turned it upside down over the meal. Everything was ready. Cutis and Buam lay beside the mat, waiting to hear Dad returning. At first, the brothers talked happily. Cutis described his journey to the market. He explained how he selected the spring rolls, where he found the steamed rice sheets, and how carefully he inspected the fruit. Buam listened with interest, but Dad did not return. The waiting continued. After playing all morning and preparing many things, Cutis began feeling sleepy. Buam was also tired after spending so much time waiting for his brother. The two children rested close together. Cutis tried to keep his eyes open for Dad, but his eyelids slowly became heavy. Buam leaned against him. Before long, both brothers fell asleep beside the carefully covered meal. The house became quiet. Beneath the basket waited the meal the brothers had prepared. Beside it slept Cutis and Buam, still waiting for their hard-working father to return. After a long period of work, Dad finally completed everything he needed to do.